Do we have the... Hey and hello. Oh, yeah. That's how you do it. Dirty 30 style. Heat in that call as the legal tampering period is kicked off and free agency and the new league year is underway. And look at this. Right on cue. Dan Hanzus here with Marc Sessler and Conor Orr back from paternity leave. Do you even call that? Chris Godwin back to the Bucs, 3 years, $66 million, chance to make it 24. Deal done by Tory Dandy. Wow. Okay. All right, Ian. Thanks for the Tory Dandy update. Didn't need it. $44 million guaranteed at signing. So right there, we're in it. Welcome back, Conor.
Thank you. This is God. This is exciting. Football's great, isn't it? I had that revelation when I was on paternity leave.
That's so good, and it's so important because I think a lot of people, and I'm being completely sincere, because I'm excited right now. This is a lot of fun, and we got hundreds of people in the live chat, and we have so much to get to today, coming off yesterday's Sunday catch-up. That, yeah, Marc, this is fun. This is like it broke. Twitter's broken, but we're alive.
Yes.
And there's something almost liberating about that too, isn't there?
We're back to our roots. We're having to, get on the phone for information from true people like inside of buildings. I just want to say one thing about Conor because we haven't seen Conor in 10 days, right? And during that time, I, ate a sandwich and milled around my apartment. Conor literally produced a human. Well, his wife did, but he was very productive. Productive.
You ate a single sandwich during the entirety of
I'm just
Conor's
saying,
12-day leave?
Just sort of normal day-to-day
That actually
stuff.
is a bit of an alien reveal there. A little bit.
Not the only thing I ate. I'm saying on my day-to-day activities.
What do the humans do to pass time? Perhaps they ingest a sandwich.
Okay. That was my way of saying congratulations to Conor and the Orr line, the lineage.
Look at that.
We're on fire.
And his lineage, he's got his Irish soccer kid on. He's got 3 kids now. And before we start the clock, by the way, it's a dirty 30 today. But we got to get these pleasantries. We got to catch up a little bit. How has life been? Did the TNC make the journey to and from the hospital? Take us through that a little bit.
You knew that was coming.
We did take the van to the hospital. We actually took the van. I was gonna live text this. We took the van to my in-laws' cabin right before the baby was born and got stuck in ice. Literally had to shovel out underneath the tires and push it through. And it was not safe driving conditions, but the TNC was flawless. Made it all the way through, and then drove the baby to visit my 94-year-old grandmother yesterday, who lives an hour and a half away, and the TNC was flawless, and she loved every minute of it. So,
wow,
yeah,
what a victory for the vehicle too.
I think definitely. I will say though, we hit a pothole. I was being edged to the other lane by a truck. And we did hit a pothole, and the feel that thing gets when it hits a rough spot in the road is it could all come apart at any second. And so there is that element to it, but I think that's exciting to me personally. So,
yeah. Did you, in all seriousness, did you tell her about the conversations that have been had on the show about it?
No,
TNC?
she doesn't know because we're still in that. There's the plane landing, and then there's landing the plane when the baby comes, and then there's taking it back off again as a new family, and that is a very fragile time, and so we're going to ignore all of the safety warnings for the time being, and then maybe in June when we don't have anywhere to go, we'll talk about it.
One spouse does not need to know everything.
Marriage advice from Marc Sessler. What I should do, by the way, is I should do the Ian thing. Should we just hold our phones the whole time?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it.
It's a fun thing to do.
Sure.
Even if it's not on, it's just it just shows that we're on top of things. So far at 12:14 Eastern, Chris Godwin back to the Bucs. We're also what else is going on right now? Let's see.
Khalil Mack re-signs with the Chargers. That was a
Khalil Mack,
was
1 year,
expected.
$18 million, fully guaranteed. I can't believe it. What a career Khalil Mack. I can still remember going to that rookie event down there on the west side of Manhattan, and it was the Johnny Manziel draft, and that's the only person anybody wanted to talk to was Johnny Manziel. And Khalil Mack out of, what was it, Buffalo?
Buffalo.
Turns out putting together a Hall of Fame level career, and $18 million guaranteed at his age, at his position, is pretty incredible. All right, why don't we start the clock, Dirty 30 style, and get into it. The other things going on, the Panthers extend cornerback Jaycee Horn. I've heard in a couple places, Conor, keep an eye on the Panthers this week, that the Panthers are going to be aggressive, that the Panthers could emerge as the win the offseason or win free agency team, whether you want that crown or not. But Jaycee Horn, their star cornerback, 4 years, $100 million. It makes him the highest paid DB in NFL history. Does he fit that mold for you, buddy?
Does for me. I mean, if you look at him just isolate him on film last year, he was dominant. Singularly dominant. And I think that he has, and I will get pushback from Panthers fans, I'll get pushback from the NFL at large, but the tandem of him and Evero, who has, statistically not had 2 great seasons as Panthers defensive coordinator, but I think this will end up being almost like a Vance Joseph, Pat Surtain situation where in 2 years we're talking about Jaycee Horn as maybe the best cornerback.
I guess the only question, if you want to look at the history, because he can play, and like that, this was their number one priority, I thought, going into the offseason, but he's missed almost 30 games in 4 seasons, so it is a lot of money for someone that's not been a health rock, but the talent, no question about that.
Conor, while you were away with your family, I don't know if you were aware that we put out there to the public as a service the 10 Commandments of Heed, free agency edition.
Ooh.
And amongst those 10 commandments, multiple sins connected to Haason Reddick, who is someone that is coming off a pretty disastrous year from a personal standpoint. Gets moved from the Eagles to the Jets in a trade, then refuses to play for the Jets unless he gets a new contract, and then comes back and is one of the least productive players in the game, and then hits free agency. So all that adds up to a guy it's going to impact his market, but he does get paid immediately as free agency starts. We mentioned Chris Godwin, back to the Bucs, 3 years, $66 million, 44 guaranteed. Haason Reddick, 1 year deal to the Bucs, $14 million, 12 of that guaranteed. So he's got to settle essentially, Conor, on a prove it deal here, but it does give him a clean slate and a fresh start in Tampa.
And I think, this works wonders for the Buccaneers because speed off the edge is such a valuable commodity. And I think this is going to be the offseason of the teams being able to, well, last year too, right? Teams being able to look past the narrative. And we saw that with the Eagles and Saquon Barkley, where everyone was talking about, well, you can't pay a running back that much. You can't really do that. Running backs ended up kind of altering the course of last season with Josh Jacobs as well. And people kind of just looking past the narrative and coveting good football players. Haason Reddick's a good football player. The Buccaneers are a veteran team. It makes all the sense in the world to me. And I think that's one of those things where he may not ever get the big contract again, but he can now be that 1 year deal mercenary guy like we're seeing Davenport, some of these other guys that, you make a nice living that way.
Jadeveon Clowney always comes to mind with that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a good match. It kind of shows you that the position is like 1 or 2, 1A or 1B in terms of importance because, I don't know Haason Reddick personally, but you could say that there are some malcontent elements in the past year plus with him. Like if I just said, you'd have to be really good at something because if I just said I'm not showing up to work this entire year, I just don't feel like it, I'm not getting paid enough, check you later. Like there may not be a team coming to sign me to do what we do. But like if you're Haason Reddick, it's like, yep, we'll still find a way for you to be on the field.
This is a good point as we dip into the chat for the first time. Jeff Stellwagen. Can we talk about the insiders putting all the agents' name in the tweets this year?
Yeah,
LOL.
that's ponderous.
I'm not down with this. Like,
No.
and I thought you made a good point. Like, you made a good point, Marc, on the chat yesterday, which was one trope that we do not enjoy coming from the insiders around this time of year is what, Marc?
Well, like this, where they're saying things like they're just pumping up the narrative to such a deal. But then at the end here, like again, Tory Dandy of CAA, I don't need to know who that is. In general, the sort of hand holding and hand wringing of the whole thing is to me.
Well, no, fly that tweet up. Perfect example. There's perfect example. Back to the from Ian. Back to the Bucks. Star wide receiver Chris Godwin returns to Tampa. Sources say, and then the next graph under, he gets a 3-year sick. Blah 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 blah. But we also have from the Ian taking less money to stay with Baker Mayfield, Mike Evans, and the rest of the gang. And then sometimes we'll be like, oh, finally the Bucks have their true number one. Chris Evans is back, and it'll just be like this dressing up of the signing that's clearly to make player agent look good. And now adding the agent's name, it just not
No. My favorite part of that whole thing was rest of the gang. Like this is peanuts hanging out on a schoolyard.
In Ian's defense, it's hard, right? Because we saw Woj started this a couple of years ago during the Shams Wars, where I think that was sort of a way of getting a leg up on some hot competition, and I think it's making its way through. But that is your source, one of many sources of information, but it's one of those things where I remember even there was a player that I covered when I covered the Giants, and I mentioned offhand in a story that the player had changed agents, and the agent never spoke to me again, ever. And just that the agent who was fired, right? And so it's an ornery bunch. They like having their name in tweets for business, and it's part of the game.
You got to do it, basically.
You know what it is? It's like it's like an advertisement patch on a jersey at this point, right? Like it's going to stick out and it's going to be like ew for like a year, but then we're not going to notice it, you know?
All right, we have breaking news. No, we don't. We do? No. No, Justin. What
Justin, this is such a Justin news item.
Justin, it is
He's a
too
top
early for this.
free agent center, and it's the only signing that's happened since Chris Godwin 10 minutes ago.
That's disrespecting the breaking news drop. Okay, throw it up though. The Bears are signing center Drew Dalman to a 3-year, $42 million deal with $28 million guaranteed. Now I understand where you're coming from, Justin, and I'm gonna try to help you out here, like the insiders. This solves any issues this team could have had in the pivot. Okay,
Well, it's a big deal. They already traded for 2 interior offensive linemen. Now they signed another one. Ben Johnson's building up that line. Everyone talked about the Lions had such a great line. Can Ben Johnson succeed on another team?
No, we're not saying it's an unimportant addition, and it's certainly noteworthy. But to get and wasn't that the Tom Brokaw developing news?
That was developing.
Yeah.
So
well,
there are a lot of things that we just got.
There was a long pause because
Justin.
I was trying to find. I should have had that one ready to go. But
I think Justin, from a football angle, we agree with they've rebuilt their line. There's a lot
Absolutely,
more.
Justin.
It's the opposite of a false promise compared to last offseason. But is it on a sexy level? It's hanging in the lower echelon.
It's got to be pure and carnal, and it's got to pure hot sex to get the breaking news drop.
If anything else had happened, I wouldn't have done it. I'm just trying to drum up some excitement so we get some live reactions going.
Yeah.
Where's the Sam Darnold news? Come on.
I understand, but let's not let our anxiety show by getting giving the center the big moment there. But it's true. Dalman is an important player, and the Bears need to fix their line, and that's a good move for a team.
You know what's happening here?
Some of the moves, yes.
That's
their third big move in a week.
Yeah, there's probably Marc and Dan don't care about the nitty gritty. It's like, yes, we do. Yes, we do. It's just we're trying to build out a show with hot steam coming off it.
Hot sex.
Yeah.
And we can look at it not only as Ben Johnson building up the offensive line, but that position in particular, the communication centers handle a lot of the protection calls. They handle a lot of the audible stuff. They slide up front for quarterbacks. And so this could also be viewed as very important for Caleb Williams. But so I'm not defending Justin, but I'm just saying that this is,
you can.
No, you can't. And Justin
Justin
flew up his own
to us,
defense line here, and just leaving Jason Ryan's comment up. Great work, Justin. You're the glue holding the podcast.
And the comment's been up for like 5 minutes
yeah,
now.
it's like that thing he's on top of. He's all over that.
It's very apt because my rec league basketball team has been named the Glue Guys, so it's just perfect. Everything's perfect.
We are delving into territories that no one has requested.
Do you know who, by the way, traditionally who cannot dunk? Glue guys. Those are the guys that set the hardest.
Did he do it while I was gone?
No. Well, he's not going to do it.
Certainly not.
Justin can't dunk. But that's just yet another hint. Glue guys set the hard screen. Glue guys are the dudes that come off the bench and give you 6 and 4 and then go back to where they belong. But they don't tend to dunk. But maybe Justin is full of surprises. He is a real asset to us. 20 minutes.
On Thursday night, I will be attempting. I will find out where my current athleticism lies. I will be attempting it. We'll see what happens later this week.
Just do not tear an Achilles or something. We don't need that.
We can't.
At this time.
So it wouldn't be funny, but it would be funny.
Don't injure yourself, Justin. We
just
can't.
has to miss 3 shows because he's.
And who is this goon? This Jason Ryan. Thank you for listening.
Well, a loyal fan.
Justin can dunk better than Dan. Dan's not saying he can dunk. I mean, that's the point here. Like, I'm not claiming that I could jump higher than Justin. I'm just saying that Justin can't dunk. James Steffen, love that complimenting Justin is a guaranteed way to get featured.
Look at this.
Unrelated. Good job, Justin. Goat in the making. All right. Do we have to take Justin?
I just found out what that word meant. I just found out what that word meant the other day. Gross.
All right, Justin. So now that we're in a live setting, you understand that there is a bar for breaking news, okay? And it's let's go with quarterbacks, high end. Let's go with guys that are
Q rating
premium players, trades that are juicy, like the interior linemen. We're going to stay away from, but we're going to talk about because that's important.
Got it.
We are 11 minutes into this new production, and Justin's like, I'm just going to be well, here we are again. What is this?
I disagree with this, by the way. Jack Dowse, Justin winning the one-on-one against Dan all day. No, I would trash Justin one-on-one.
Dan is, and I'm not just saying this because it's Dan, but I have seen Dan play basketball multiple times, and it would be unexpected to find out that he's got more skills than you might think. Whoever just posted that, he's got some skills. I
was known as the silent assassin in high school for my three-point shooting ability. And as a man of generous carriage, I could bang down low, too. So I could take you inside, I could take you outside.
Power forward.
So let's see if Justin, might have some springs in his shoes, but I feel like that would be another televised event for a pay-per-view event, Dan versus Justin in a one-on-one game.
Mark and Mark on the call.
I would love
it.
Here we go. I would love to show off my skills, too.
That sounds like perfect content, by the way.
It does.
All right.
I'll fly out there.
I guess I'm going back to L.A. soon.
Little nugget, I'll be very quick here. But
we got time. It's not like anything's going on right now.
Sure. In high school, my friend and I flew to Pennsylvania to attend the Bill Rafferty Sports Announcers Camp. And, they pair you up. And then it was an all-star college summer camp. And so it was a bunch of dudes from Duke. And the thing is, we'd be up in this booth, and the players had no numbers or names. And so you'd be stuck being like, that is a nice pass from lanky guy to big guy under the hoop there. There's no names or numbers. So it's this is our pitch that we're professional announcers. It was like a Fisher-Price. We could have just been on a Fisher-Price set at that point. So,
love Bill Rafferty. I'll never forget the living on the Upper West Side in New York, and it was the day of the marathon and the New York City Marathon. And afterwards, all the bars are filled. A lot of people are wearing their marathon parkas or whatever. Have you run the marathon, Conor?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Nice. I know you have. That's awesome. And everyone's having a good time, having some beers. And then Billy up at the bar is Bill. And Bill is just hammering beers on the corner of 84th and Amsterdam. It's the bar we went to with my buddy Howie that time, that one draft event, Marc, you may or may not recall.
I recall drinking beers. I don't know, location by location. But
all right, Adam Schefter has this offensive lineman. Here's a good example. Jaylon Moore signs a 2-year, $30 million deal with the Chiefs. This is the same Chiefs team that signed guard Trey Smith to the franchise tag, which locked him in for $23.4 million on a 1-year fully guaranteed deal. That made him the NFL's highest paid guard. They still want to work out a long-term deal. So, Marc, the Chiefs obviously coming off a very humbling loss in the Super Bowl and making sure you are protecting your guy. Pat Mahomes is at the top of the list, but they got work to do in general on that side of the ball.
Yeah, but I like the attention because it's At some point, one of these Fugazi Mahomes injuries would be more legit if he keeps getting banged up. But if I'm the Eagles, I'm the Chiefs. You want to both lines, just hit both lines in the offseason. And so I'll never frown on a signing like this, just as I did not frown on the Bears signing. Very excited about that too.
It's stunning how it mirrors the last time that they just got their asses kicked in the Super Bowl. It was almost the exact same thing where they survived to a point where they could not survive anymore, and then they just happened to be able to rectify it in the offseason. But the one problem is, outside of, Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey, I think you need more organic solutions there. It can't be, I think they're learning that Mahomes can't solve a lot of problems on his own with free agent offensive linemen who are hitting the market for a reason, and especially now, right? No talent is making it to the open market right now, and so you have to always take with a grain of salt, who's out here,
Speaking of the Chiefs, they agreed to terms with running back Elijah Mitchell, formerly of the 49ers, one-year deal up to $3.5 million. And the Texans have signed wide receiver Braxton Berrios, formerly of the Dolphins and the Jets, one-year, $2 million contract. He blew out his knee in week 7, but perhaps he can see some work in the slot if he could prove that he could still play the guitar. Pivot, Marc, BetterHelp.
Here we go. This episode of Heed the Call with Dan Hanzus and Marc Sessler and Conor Orr and Justin, apparently, is brought to you by BetterHelp. Think about your favorite leaders. Well, he is doing incredible work behind the scenes, but we're getting a lot of Justin out on the stage, too, and I applaud that. Think about your favorite leaders, mentors, and idols. Maybe you're thinking of us. I don't know. Anyway, us leaders don't always have the answers, but we do know when to ask questions or seek support from our community. It's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system behind us.
This is Marc's serious voice, by the way,
stronger support system, you what?
This is Marc's serious voice.
Yeah, it's my ad voice, okay?
Go ahead.
If you need a stronger support system in your life, therapy can help. Stop trying to do it all on your own. And this is the part of the ad where they want me to suggest, this matters to me. And I have done therapy. There have been a couple times when I think I've alarmed my therapist with certain updates, and so try to keep him on his toes. But it is very helpful. It's very helpful. So if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online and designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. BetterHelp serves over 5 million people worldwide with a diverse network of more than 30,000 credentialed therapists. To get started, simply fill out a short questionnaire and you'll be matched with a licensed therapist. Plus, you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Flexible. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/HTC today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/HTC. A slight surprise that I know how to spell help to some, but yes, I do.
You've absolutely nailed it, Marc, once more. All right, let's reset here and talk a little bit about quarterbacks. So, Jourdan Schultz reports that, according to sources, the Seahawks, after trading Geno Smith to the Raiders, and we talked all about that on the Sunday show, please check it out. Michael Sean Dugar really helped us break down that side of things for Seattle. They have now shifted, Seattle has, their primary focus to quarterback Sam Darnold. He is their number one option, and there is mutual interest on his behalf as well. It is highly unlikely that Darnold returns to the Vikings, according to multiple sources. Okay, so let's start there. The Darnold Seahawks marriage, that sounds very interesting. Also, Schultz reports, with the Seahawks targeting Darnold, Aaron Rodgers, whom the Giants have shown interest in, becomes a possibility for the Vikings as well, as Mike Garafolo noted. Now, can I just say, Conor, about this? So I get, although it should be a difficult decision after you win 14 games and Darnold has one of the better seasons in franchise history at quarterback, to say, okay, we're going to move on from Sam because we have the kid quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, that we drafted in the first round in 24. I'd be very confused and curious about the status of McCarthy's health if they went out then and got Aaron Rodgers or anybody else. I just assumed that if Darnold leaves, that clears the path for the first-round pick, and I'd be stunned if that wasn't the case.
I think that what we'll find out is where JJ McCarthy is at in terms of like a physical rehab, because I think that one thing that Kevin O'Connell's not going to do as a former quarterback and as a former quarterback on the lighter side is put a guy in who's not back at full body strength. And what I kept hearing this offseason was, how heavy is JJ McCarthy? Where's his weight at? And, you know, because he was a little bit light coming out of college. He was a little bit young on the younger side coming out of college. Can he, after the big injury, come back, get his strength back? I mean, they have so many things now. And cut me off when you don't think this is interesting anymore, but they can measure your force that you put out lifting weights, all that kind of stuff. If his numbers aren't there, I think Aaron Rodgers makes all the sense in the world. I think hoarding quarterbacks makes all the sense in the world. You should be doing it aggressively, but I think it's weight. And so I think I would keep an eye on that, see how heavy JJ McCarthy is getting. If he's back up to weight, I think if he's back up to weight, there's no question you throw him out there. If he's not, I think that absolutely you enter the Aaron Rodgers sweepstakes, because that not only does it give you a chip, but it also punishes everybody else. Like it's an ultimate win-win in free agency.
Yeah, you take that figure away from another quarterback wanting team. I think part of this is that there is total belief that JJ McCarthy is the future, but if he's not there yet physically, to your point, Conor, then there's a big difference between taking a veteran quarterback like Aaron Rodgers for one season to patch over whatever we need to versus rewarding Sam Darnold with a multi-year, very expensive deal. And I think kind of, we can get into the Steelers thing. I think they're kind of viewing it the same way. It seems to be there isn't a bum rush to go sign Sam Darnold. There's a team out there, it's Seattle. They just got rid of all their wide receivers. That doesn't sound like a situation I love, but I don't see 3 or 4 teams chasing down Sam Darnold.
But Sam in Seattle makes the most sense because Sam Darnold is most comfortable on the move. They have Kubiak now as their offensive coordinator. He loves to put quarterbacks in boot action constantly. Like, this is the one marriage thing, even though I don't think are Sam Darnold's numbers on the highest end going to be better than the best year that they got out of Geno Smith? I don't think so. But I just think ideologically with this offense, like, it's just going to fit with what the coordinator wants to do.
There's a lot of smoke connecting Aaron Rodgers right now to the Pittsburgh Steelers. A report out there that Tomlin and Rodgers are going to meet, unless Rodgers says something monumentally dumb to turn off Mike Tomlin, which certainly is possible. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I think that feels like a logical destination now, and I think if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you could at least say, okay, that's weird. This is going to be weird, but let's see what happens. So let's see what can happen. And then it's like, does Aaron Rodgers, does his body hold up in the AFC North, and is he able to stay on the field for that team? So we're going to keep an eye on that. And then there's Justin Fields, and Adam Schefter said on ESPN moments ago that Justin Fields is, quote, keeping the Steelers at bay, and reiterated that he could come back to Pittsburgh, Fields, but it's a big opportunity for the Jets to make their pitch to the former first-round pick. Schefter said Fields is the, quote, first domino that has to fall. Interesting. I think Fields to the Jets is logical, like especially coming off where the Jets just went all in with a 40-year-old quarterback, and you're just crossing your fingers that he's going to be able to stay upright and stay healthy, which he could not do, and stay out of the news cycle, which he could not do. Fields, by comparison, is much lower profile. He's in his mid-20s. He's shown signs of being a guy that could be a player, but it's never quite broken through. For the Jets, a team that is in transition right now, doesn't see itself as rebuilding, but is trying to reload and take this thing in a different direction with a roster that has pieces. Fields does make sense to me as a guy that you kind of ride with and give him a year or perhaps 2, so he can either be a bridge quarterback that gets you through this moment in time, or if it clicks, maybe you find something. I think it's worth the try.
Yeah, I think from like if you go and talk to a coaching staff, your offensive coaching staff, like Justin Fields is unexplored territory, and you feel like there could be a ceiling here that we don't know, and you get him for cheap. They just went through the tonnage of the Aaron Rodgers experience. Russell Wilson is a far less different individual than that, but there is a lot attached to Russell Wilson. It's like, is that what we saddle this coaching staff with? Like, I think the Fields things make sense it's a 1-year affordable look. It's an exploration, and if not, you go somewhere else next year.
The one thing I think that is ultimately valuable for the Jets, who are still a rebuilding team, is a quarterback who can make plays with his legs. And it's not offensive line dependent, because this offensive line has fallen apart and has gotten injured across the board in every possible scenario, which has started a lot of these domino effect issues for the Jets. And so just to have a quarterback that can negate some of that and win you a 10-7 game is huge. And I think that's, do I love the idea of having to present to Justin Fields? No, like that he's like LeBron in Miami. Yeah. Like it's not that, but this is where we're at with the quarterback position.
All right, this is certified free agency developing news, so much so that I'm going to put my Redkin in my hair for it. Here we go. I'm Tom Brokaw. He's Tom Brokaw. I'm Tom Brokaw. Jerry Dulac, longtime Steelers guy. Aaron Rodgers getting close to signing a deal with the Steelers. How about that? And that is coming straight from a guy that is boots on the ground around the Steelers. This looks like it's going to happen. And, you know what? I like it.
I do too.
I like it. I like what the Steelers are doing because what have we been talking about? The Steelers are boring. The Steelers, and then on top of that, coming out of this season, there was a lot of frustration around Pittsburgh that, like, man, don't they see they need to make changes and try to mix things up? But they kept the GM, they kept the coach. There was talk that they were going to keep the quarterback. Well, this would be a reset. You go and get a true number one in DK Metcalf, and now you go out and get Aaron Rodgers, who absolutely can play still and will juice that offense as long as you could keep him healthy, Conor.
Oh, I think this is great. And I think the underrated great part of it is we have not ever seen Aaron Rodgers with a coach who is 100% not going to take shit and has dealt with people crazier than him by multiples of 1,000, right? And so Mike Tomlin's going to be able to handle this. He's going to be able to figure it out. My guess is that part of these conversations where your ass is showing up for all the offseason workouts,
right?
And you're playing catch with DK Metcalf every single second of every single day. We're not trading for Devontae Adams in the middle of the season, so Figure your shit out and get rid of the ball. And so, God, I really do think I like this, and I know I said this when Aaron Rodgers signed with the Jets, and he ended up not really doing it, but there's a legacy factor at play here, and he has to end his career in a sane way if he wants to set himself up for life post-career. You have to be a face of the franchise guy, and you have to, and so I think this is the perfect opportunity. Pittsburgh gets him coming off the Jets mess. He's motivated. I love this across the board. 5 stars.
The other option might have been the Giants. They were named. I like getting him out of New York, bring him to Pittsburgh. We get that that's a sturdy place. Like, you are right. There's a handful of Steelers players that left and became absolute nightmares on Team B. But they seem to keep the drama down there, and you just need to get a nice productive season out of Aaron Rodgers on a team that's amped up. I do wonder if George Pickens will be on this team by September. I think there's a chance he's not.
Well, can I tell you what the best part of all this is, though?
Yes.
The best part. Tom Brady is getting nothing. Like, he had to trade for Geno Smith, motherfucker.
Oh,
this is
right.
the best part. Like, the part in The Dark Knight where Batman just slams the Joker into the floor and he goes, "You have nothing to do with all your strength." This is so good. Like, you can't do anything. You make $500 million a year. You got cozy with Matt Stafford under a blanket at a ski resort, and you got to trade for Geno Smith. Like,
hands above the blankets, fellas.
Take it.
In fairness, Conor. Like, if the Raiders really wanted to be aggressive about going after Rodgers, don't you think they would have had a chance to have him? It doesn't seem like they were interested in him. Just
doesn't matter.
In fairness, other side of the story on this one.
This is how I've decided it's happened in my mind. So.
Fair.
Can you bring in Gravy? Hey, Gravy, jump in a second here. Great minds think alike.
Hey.
Yeah, we got 90 seconds left on the stream. I think we might have to bonus it.
All right.
Should we? Mark?
Bang. Done.
That's a
How
dangerous
much
thing
of a
to ask.
bonus? Well, all right, here we go.
Mark, what do you have to do today?
Huh?
What do you have to do today?
I learned yesterday that I have nothing to do beyond essentially sitting on call in case like another center gets signed by an AFC South team.
All right, there you go.
Where did the Giants go at quarterback without?
Well, this is a major,
Rodgers.
it's a major bolt dodge. I've been pounding the drum on this. The Giants do not need a Band-Aid at quarterback, so Brian Daboll's job is safe or whatever.
Trade up.
You could trade up, or you find a young quarterback, and if Dable is the guy that they thought he was when they hired him, give him a chance to develop a young quarterback. And if he can't and the quarterback stinks, blow up everything. But I thought Rodgers to the Giants would have been a disaster. He needed to get out of northern New Jersey, and Giants fans in my life, nobody wanted the guy. I think the vibes would have been bad. The energy was kind of poisoned around Rodgers in New York. This is I think a good development for Giants fans as well. Plus, Giants fans, they have egos. I'll tell you this. Grew up there, okay? They don't want the Jets cast off old quarterback. Like, that's not an optics thing for the Giants. The Tiffany franchise. They didn't want to have Aaron Rodgers after he fails for 2 years with the Jets and his Achilles explodes. And now we get the guy when he's 41 and kind of tarnished. No, I think the whole thing didn't smell right around the Giants. And it continues to me point in that direction of them going with a young quarterback, which I feel like matches where they should be right now.
I think number one, like I am pretty pro Dable, so it's not like I'm not concerned with this part of it, but like that can buy Dable an extra year or two if you have a young quarterback versus a bunch of transition. But there is the kind of, I can't kind of think of a coach GM match that feels on like a hotter seat going into the season. Like, is that who you want picking the quarterback in a quarterback light draft? I don't know. Just a side concern. Like, do we want to see if these guys get to Thanksgiving or not? But got to pull the trigger.
Do you have the 10 Commandments by any chance, Justin, handy to fly up? Because I do believe that is one of the 10 Commandments is don't let temporary people make permanent decisions.
Yes, exactly.
Around your team. So just be smart about how you do these things. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's going to take a while to get used to that. Rodgers also, I wonder again if there's any awareness with Aaron Rodgers. Like, I got Mike Tomlin like sitting me down and being like, hey, if you want to be on this team, you have to follow these rules. Like, having to be spoken to like that, if that's indeed what's happening, maybe there's some level of awareness. Like, maybe I got to.
But if anyone could do it
a little bit. Yes, he's
in
the
NFL,
perfect guy.
He's got the gravitas to do it, yeah.
The Jets had one of the worst coaching staffs last season that you can imagine. Robert Saleh way in over his head, and then Jeff Ulbrich, who just was not ready for the job. You need to have a strong figure leading the way to keep a guy like Aaron Rodgers in line, and I think Pittsburgh could do it. Yeah, the 10 Commandments of Heat, fly those up a second. And it's a good reminder here as the signings begin. Thou shalt not kill thy cap space simply because thou have it. Thou shalt not pay thy name, only thy game. Thou shalt not let temporary people make permanent decisions. Thou shalt not commit to one-year wonders and unique circumstances. Thou shalt let the football people do the football things. Thou shalt not overcommit to trends. Thou shalt not commit adultery in favor of duplicative replacement. That one, we're working on that one. Yeah, that one's going to be in the shop. That's in the shop. Thou shalt not wait until draft day to fill gaping roster holes. Thou shalt not inherit someone else's problem expecting different results. Honor thy organizational vision. Those are the 10 Commandments of Heed. We got over 600 people right now in the chat. Justin, anytime you want to fly something up here, please do, and we'll check in with the audience. What do you think about those commandments, Conor? I feel like you'd be a good team builder, so I'm curious. I did hesitate. I almost reached out to you last week because I thought you'd be really good building out that list, but I said, let that man have his family time. But it did cross my mind.
Yeah, I was probably knee deep in some feces. But what was just explain the adulterous thing? Just
you should see what the original line reading was of that. It literally pointed to something illegal initially.
Yeah, it's I'll just name two names and you'll figure out what I was trying to get at there. But the Jets, giving up on Demario Davis to sign Avery Williams.
Sure. Okay.
Basically, if you have a guy that's good. Yep. Develop him.
I don't know if adultery is the correct. Is that where I'm getting caught on that?
Well, it's one of the 10 Commandments in real, so I was trying to tie it together and have some fun with it.
Yeah, that's very
a little
fair.
baking.
Historical.
I was in the kitchen baking there, and I was trying to cook up. You know what? I was trying to bake up something that you would find tasty, Marc. And what do? You took the plate and you threw it against the wall like Kevin Spacey in American Beauty.
Not like Kevin Spacey. No parallel to that individual at this point. Look at this.
Yes, and good point. So a perfect example, like the Jets could have gotten a Sherwood replacement. Instead, they extended him. Thank you, SG. And other teams, as Jourdan has been saying on our show, like the good teams find value in the draft, and then they lock in those guys long term before they hit the open market, and that's how you build. That's how you build. Jimmy G back with the Rams on a 1-year deal. Whoa, that was weird. Justin and I hadn't even conversed, and we were on the same.
Mind meld.
That's host.
God, he looks
producer,
great, doesn't he?
Mind meld. The Rams, according to Diana Rossini. Wow, we're still on Blue Sky. Does that mean that Twitter's still down?
Yep, still down. Been refreshing every 4 seconds.
It feels like a coup d'etat.
Musk. The Rams are re-signing Jimmy Garoppolo to a 1-year, $11 million deal. Man, that's where the backup market is now, huh?
It's
$11 million. You get double digits.
It's not fair to any of us, but this happened to Conor, that you cover up Conor's exact square with Jimmy G. Like, Conor is a great-looking guy, but like, it's just not fair. And see, that's what I'm like. That is what I'm talking about.
That's our producer who just slid over Marc into the middle square. Now he's cooked by Jimmy G.
God.
Beautiful.
That was a rough transition. I didn't appreciate that myself. It's early in the morning, got some allergies.
Rap sheet. Sources, DT. That means defensive tackle. Javon Kinlaw to the Commanders. 3 years, $45 million, $30 million guaranteed. You know what I'm noticing, by the way?
Does that constitute adultery in your mind? Because you let Allen seek a trade, and then you released him, and then you signed Javon Kinlaw. I don't know.
I think that could be a violation of one of the 10 Commandments. Absolutely.
It feels like Young and Sweaty was about 2 decades ago for that team. They moved on from a lot of defensive interiors.
Commandments and the Commanders. Come on. Come on.
Well,
It feels a little obvious. But.
We could only keep the vape pen out of his mouth for so long, Can only keep him out of the edibles.
Dude.
Yeah,
that was good. Yeah, Kinlaw. I feel like 3 for 45 with $30 million guarantee is popping up a lot right now. Is anybody noticing that? I feel like we've had several deals in that range. Schefter reports that defensive tackle B.J. Hill signs a 3-year, $33 million deal with the Bengals.
need some help on. Losing DJ Reader was worst case scenario for them. Ended up costing Lou Anarumo's job.
Well, if they lose Trey Hendrickson, it's starting to wonder what the picture there is, what the organizational vision is. Commandment 10.
I think Twitter's back. Yeah, I think we're back. What's going on in the chat, Justin? You got anything to fly up for us?
I don't totally hate like a technological blackout for us just to experience that. Like we don't get everything we want all the time.
Right.
While we're cooling comments, can I just say thank you? By the way, I received lots of well wishes from the Heed the Call people during my pat leave, and also a package from Alaska from listener Chris. So
Christopher, yeah.
Yeah.
How did Chris get your address?
Alaskan delicacies.
Okay.
Like
because a lot of things could come in from wrapped up.
Incredible.
What kind of delicacies are we talking? What's going on in Alaska? What's cooking up there?
Like maple syrup,
meats,
caramels. It was very thoughtful. What an amazing group of people.
That is very true. We're very lucky, and we've heard that anybody that's been in the orbit of around the NFL and now Heed the Call always comment how our listeners are built different, and you are
so true.
All right, what else? Anything football related? We're very happy to hear from all the fans.
Yes.
But anything on the football tilt?
We haven't hit this one yet.
The Jaguars are signing Jourdan Lewis. Per the insiders and Peter Schrager, that's funny. He becomes the NFL's highest paid nickel cornerback. Am I supposed to know what capital T, capital I, the insiders is?
It's their show, isn't it?
Is that so? We're shorthand. We're all supposed to know.
Why is per capitalized?
On my this is Free Agency Frenzy on my television right now, but it's essentially the same show. Yeah, it's like
why is per capitalized? Did you see that? That sticks out to me as a flagrant miscalculation.
Yes, it's
by
poor
a very
grammar.
By a very detail-oriented reporter.
So per the insiders, maybe that's part of the branding too. Maybe he's trying to get that going too. Yes. Per? Time out. Conor
no. I meant like capital T, like the insiders.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry.
Which shortens to PTI, which has been used in our industry. So let's rethink that.
I'd rather listen to Nate Burleson's podcast than the Insiders. Well, you only have one to choose from with Nate. Some shows
one
have
episode.
Yeah.
And they gave your man my very own podcast.
Here's a question. Jay Allen, one of our viewers. What's up, Jay? Are Lions in play for Trey Hendrickson? Should they be?
If you were for Miles, you should be for this.
I was going to say, like a team like the Commanders, teams with money like burning a hole in their pocket, I wonder if you turn up the heat. And on that note, I wanted to talk to you guys about this. Like DK Metcalf, last Thursday when we were putting out our realistic transactions, I floated DK to the Patriots for a second. Like, man, if I'm a Patriots fan, I'm pretty annoyed. Like, how do you got to go get somebody. And now who are they going to get? Who's going to be the guy? If this whole offseason in a lot of ways is about building up weapons for Drake May, letting Metcalf get to Pittsburgh after you heard that phony stuff about how, DK wants to go to a warm weather climate to play. And it's like, well, then he goes to Pittsburgh. That means New England was in play. I would be annoyed. And again, do I trust the decision makers and how they do business up in New England post Tom Brady and Belichick? Should have gotten that deal done. You should have gotten DK in your building and really given a jump start to that offense. Instead, now you're going to be chasing what? Hoping T. Higgins shakes free, or going with one of these lesser or older guys that are 30 and coming off injuries? Feels like a real opportunity lost potentially.
That feels like that's the kind of players they've been signing for almost 3 off seasons at this point. Lower level guys, and I don't have a huge feel for Wolf and the rest of their front office, but little concerned with the vision there too.
I agree with what this comment says.
Jay writes, Vrabel is going to draft Genty and run the ball 60 times a game.
Yeah, I really don't think he cares, But I will say that DK Metcalf, I think, is going to age so well just because of the body type, and he's been healthy throughout his career. I think only one season where he missed more than 2 games. I think he missed 3 games last year. But I think that body type is going to age into almost like an Andre Johnson type receiver where you can still be valuable deep into your career. So I agree that I think he was valuable. I think more teams should have been on the hunt for him. But I do think that the Patriots are totally pivoting here. I don't think they want Drake May to throw the ball more than 20 times a game.
Are we buying that Metcalf actually eats only candy for the diet? I've never really bought into that one.
I mean, unless he was just lying, but
only candy?
Probably not only candy. You're right. This per Jeremy Fowler.
Total throwaway response.
What do you want us to say? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know him personally. I assume that he has a more balanced diet than that, and might even have a dietitian and someone in house that cooks. But he probably has a sweet tooth.
Yeah,
he's probably embellished that to give him some semblance of a personality, which he might lack otherwise. So it's like, I'm junk food guy, like that guy.
I think we're getting closer now.
Look how muscular and athletic I am, but I love my sweets. Like that angle. Like some people, that's personality.
I think you've diagnosed it correctly. That's where I was sort of aiming.
And I apologize. I kind of punted on that analysis initially, but now there it is.
Yep. We got 4 more days of this. So.
This is going to be, not to get excited about everything, but this guy in Vance Joseph's defense with all the different ways that they can come after the quarterback.
Who's this guy, Conor? Say it. Say it for the listeners.
Talanoa Hufanga.
Dan's guy. Hufanga.
That's my guy. That's my dude from San Francisco.
Love him.
He kind of came on like a fireball, Conor, and I know he had some injury issues, but it got to the point where he went from like, oh my God, what a find by the 49ers to 49ers letting him test the market and now leaving. I wonder what that's about. That's my only question, because I do respect the talent evaluation in San Francisco overall.
I think that they're gonna. I think this is gonna be a weird 49ers offseason. I thought
starting out that way.
Yeah, I thought that they were gonna make one more run at it, but this feels more like they're just gutting the place a little bit.
They're breaking it down into a slow trot.
Breaking it down. Yeah.
What do you got? We're out of the 15 minutes. Do we want to add 15 more to the clock, Marc?
Yeah.
Let's go with Mark, because Mark might have something going on, as we know.
No. And Justin's already just gone and unilaterally gone and done that himself. But like,
Justin, can you take down this thing so I can look at Mark while he responds?
I think it's interesting that we had an organizational vision of like a dirty 30 that kind of just like, but then it's actually like 75 to 80 minutes. Which I'm a problem doing it, but like Well,
you say you don't have a problem doing it, but you won't stop complaining. Just like I'm asking, should we add 15? And then it's like, all right, pause for Mark's monologue about how we're wasting his time. It's
no, it's not my time. It's more like we cook up a vision, and then we, if we're fluidly moving off of it for the better of the show, then I'd say let's do that. If that's what we're doing.
I think SG in the chat, like, why not just make it an hour?
Then I would just say we don't call it Dirty 30. Because maybe someone's like, I have 30 minutes before I have to, ignite my cubicle and keep doing that work. But then it's actually 60 minutes, and then they're getting talked to by the supervisor.
Nick wants you to make sure you add a convoluted Star Wars reference before this ends, Mark.
I'll think on it.
Rap sheet: Paulson Adebo to sign with the Giants, the cornerback. Latest. Here are, by the way, the top available free agents right now as we stand. Javon Holland.
Like Raggedy Ann and like Andy at this point.
Safety Javon Holland, cornerback DJ Reed, wide receiver Amari Cooper, quarterback Sam Darnold, edge Josh Sweat, wide receiver Stephon Diggs, cornerback Charvarius Ward, cornerback Rasul Douglas, safety Cameron Bynum, edge Milton Williams. I mean, listen, that's per graphic that NFL Network just flew up. The fact that those are the biggest names on the market right now tells me why we've seen so many trades and roster machinations going on with extending one's own guys, that people aren't diving headlong into this group at this point.
I think we thought that's how it would look. Mm-hmm. I think the least enticing collection of names, if you factor in their age, of any free agent class that we've ever worked on together, Dan, going back a decade plus. I don't think that's a stretch, but I think good teams will go add they'll fortify both lines with some stuff and it'll look good. Like I don't want the team that blows, adds 8 big names and they're all 6 years too old.
Fair. I'm looking through the chat right now.
I can tell sometimes when I'm just stretching, because you're reading, I can tell you're reading. So it's try to reconnect us in some way. So,
go ahead. I want you to lead right now. Go ahead.
I would say
reset. Do a reset. Do a nice show reset. Here we go. Well, if you're just joining us,
I could read a little ad if we'd like, because the show is. No. Well, if you're just joining us now, and who knows, maybe you were interrupted for some reason. Took you a while to click in. It's 10:02 on the West Coast. We are approximately an hour and 2 minutes into the legal tampering period. And we're tampering. There's a lot of people tampering and looking into things. And Conor, I know you're very excited.
You sound like a disgraced politician, just trying to extend his opening remarks so that people have less chances to ask him questions.
It feels accurate.
People are looking into things is the best.
All right. I got an ad read here. How about that? Are you playing on Underdog yet? There's so many ways to get in on the action, whether it's high or lower, pick'em entries, daily drafts, or season-long tournaments, so do not miss out. Just scan the QR code on your screen to download and play on the Underdog app, or if you're not watching on YouTube, sign up with the code HTC, and you could receive up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you deposit. Make the most of your sports fandom by playing along on Underdog for our U.S. audience only. All right, so we're waiting for the next domino to fall here as the legal tampering period has opened. The chat is on fire. Everyone's waiting for the next big domino. Dan Moore to the Titans, 4 years, $82 million. How about that? Spicy Tuna giving us the breaking news there. Per the insiders, is probably my favorite development of the day so far.
Yeah.
Just PTI.
So PTI.
That is a huge contract for a guy who did not have the best pass blocking resume. I mean, pressure is allowed. Hang on, I would pull up the stats that I bookmarked on Twitter, but guess what? I can't. So I'm out of
still
numbers
down?
here, but
We
it's
still down?
down. It was back for like 30 seconds and then it went away again.
Good.
Is it like a coordinated attack? Is that what's happening over?
It feels
Twitter
like
right
a
now?
coup of some nature. Or, I mean, didn't he reduce the tech group there down to like 12 people? Maybe, a little overwhelmed now.
I mean, the Titans have had a horrid tackle situation going on 4 years now, where they've ever since Taylor Lewan first got injured, they've been really bad there. They've drafted guys that failed to play well, most notably Isaiah Wilson in the first round. So they needed a tackle. Dan Moore, James Palmer said it on our show yesterday that he was, the best remaining tackle on the market after Ronnie Stanley signed. But I mean, he's given up a ton of pressures and a ton of sacks over the last couple seasons.
Aren't they exactly? You look at our commandments list; they're breaking like there's multiple infractions with this purchase.
You know who's
I
not
mean,
though?
This is an overpay by every standard.
Let's stop talking about the Titans because the Panthers just signed Milton Williams, and that is my guy, baby. That is the signing right there. That's what we need to do.
All right, let's talk about it.
Go!
What do you like about it?
I love Milton Williams. I did most underrated player on every team last year before the season. He was my guy in Philadelphia. I think that obviously Jalen Carter is a game wrecker, but Milton Williams is right there. And I think that he's going to, he can play multiple positions, shift across the line. I think Evero's going to have a field day with him. I love the fact that they're, this is one of those like nice little foundational pieces here because this team needs everything. So why not?
I feel like, these
like,
are the
you can't have a
signings
bad
that-
offseason if you're the Panthers because you need everything.
Right, and if you're getting guys that are might be a little bit off the radar but have a lot of upside like a Williams, that's how you actually do win free agency. I'm interested, like if so Williams is out the door for the
Keep
Eagles.
pounded.
Josh Sweat, keep pounding. Josh Sweat on his way out the door potentially. Like the Eagles obviously are going to look different than they did. They did keep, of course, Zach Bond. They re-signed him. Saquon Barkley it got the big extension, but keeping a Super Bowl team together is almost impossible, and they're going to be different on their front seven by the time we get out of this week.
They'll also draft 2 or 3 people that other people don't have on their board for various reasons, and 2 of the 3 will absolutely turn into complete raging comets.
Can we cycle back to the Rams again? So they gave Stafford. We don't even know if they really gave Stafford anything that he wanted, right, financially. But Stafford is still a high-paid quarterback. The $11 million for Jimmy G. Like, what was the market? Like, who was like jockeying for Jimmy G's services to get him to $11 million per year?
Well, don't you think? I was thinking about this today. Doesn't it make sense that now that the dominoes have started to kind of fall the way that they have, and Aaron Rodgers is in Pittsburgh? Don't you think that Jimmy G makes perfect sense as another sort of reclamation bridge starter candidate guy? Like, once, Derek Carr's not going anywhere. So if you're the Giants, wouldn't that be one of your next most logical moves?
I feel like he already had that phase of his career, and it didn't quite take, right? With like the Raiders, and he's
don't forget
around
too
a
that
little bit
Dable
now.
was a Patriots guy, and there could have been some connection there with him and Garoppolo, or at least a knowledge of everything there. Now, I don't think Jimmy G would want to go there and just get his absolute butt whipped behind that offensive line. And LA is a great place to live and to be with Sean McVay. But yeah, I think he was one of those guys that maybe we didn't talk enough about when that first level collapsed. He was probably going to be one of those life preserver guys.
And what if like you get to the, it's going to happen at some point. Some major quarterbacking figure goes down in August. You could trade Jimmy G at a very affordable price and sell high. I think he probably just likes LA and they like him.
Well, it also, I don't know if that would be the right play for them either, because they have an old quarterback.
He
and
could
you
wind up
need that
starting
insurance.
games for them.
Yeah.
Like, they're paying him to win those 3 games maybe that save their season if Stafford has a rib injury.
Like, I don't know what the deal is with Stetson Bennett at this stage after what we've seen or not seen from him as a pro after leaving Georgia, but he's the only other quarterback on the roster. So I guess from that standpoint, you need to have a security blanket when you have an older quarterback, just an expensive one. All right. Anything else? The Patriots. Here's developing news. On Bronco, Patriots and Carlton Davis agree to terms on a 3-year, $60 million contract. Now, we talked about the Patriots have a ton of money to spend, and this would be a big domino. 3 years, 60 for Davis, who previously was a key portion of the Dan Campbell defense and Aaron Glenn defense in Detroit.
You've got Christian Gonzalez. You're Mike Vrabel. If you look at the Patriots, they've been removing certain people from their defensive roster. Like they're clearly reshaping and getting closer to the Vrabel vision. But the Patriots under Belichick for years, it's like the cornerback play mattered so much, and so Carlton Davis is good. This is a good addition. Like this is the kind of thing I do like.
How much of it your life has changed over the course of 365 days if you're Elliot Wolf, where last year everyone was at the combine like high-fiving and being like, we're going to do the right thing and we're going to generate the cap space, and now like every 5 minutes you just get your door furiously kicked in by Mike Vrabel and telling you to get somebody else on the roster. Like it's just going to be it's wild times. I love it though.
Carlton Davis, who was one of they had so many guys. That Detroit season was so frustrating because they had all the success and all the wins, and then they just kept losing guys. And Davis broke his jaw last season, which was brutal. But he's a key guy. And yeah, you're right. If you have your number one guy, and Gonzalez is one of the best in the league, now you have a true number two to go with him. That sounds like the type of stuff, as you know, Gravedigger, that the way that Mike Vrabel likes to build a team. He might not have went out and got aggressive to land DK Metcalf, but he's secure in the back end.
Apparently, they were very much trying to get on Chris Godwin, though, so they were trying to get a high-level receiver there, but I guess shifting their focus to defense, they also signed linebacker Robert Spillane, who the Titans brought in as a UDFA when Vrabel was the head coach. He didn't end up making the roster, but he played a lot of good snaps for the Steelers and Raiders over the years. Get Harold Landry, who obviously was a Titan under Vrabel and had his best years under Vrabel, and now signing a true cornerback too to complement Gonzalez. Vrabel's trying to remake this team, and like you guys said, on offense, do they need receivers? Because they're just going to run the ball a million times a game.
I definitely want to run back the 2020 Titans, so I think that's a good way to do this.
2021 Titans were the number one seed and sacked Joe Burrow 9 times in a playoff game that they lost. Fun times. Okay, bye.
All right, let's start to bring this thing in for a landing here. Now, things are going to happen the rest of this Monday. We understand that, but just give us time to react to that, because we'll be back at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on Tuesday morning, and we'll run it back again. It's a dirty 30, maybe Mark, a dirty 30 times 2. So I want you to be fully prepared now.
That branding works for me. I think it opens the door for anything.
Just seeing the immense level of disappointment in your eyes as we extended the show by 15 minutes.
I think that's being misrepresented. I'm happy to sit here for as long as we would like.
It was like when I first threw out adding 15 minutes. It was like a guy just watched his puppy get run over. That was the look in your face.
Well, I guess my lingering concern is like I was hoping, like, if it were true show business gold, that like Darnold happens with 4 minutes to go. Instead, it's going to happen 4 minutes after we sign off, and then it's
going to be vaguely annoying.
Right. It will annoy you as well. Like that's just not a me annoyance. We'll all be.
No, it will be highly annoying if something goes down in the next 20 minutes. But we're done for the day. Conor, you have more important things to deal with anyway.
I've had to pee for 45 minutes. Like my body is.
Scott Hansen would be so disappointed in you. You know
what's his thing? He doesn't pee. Like he just doesn't have to.
From the early window all the way through the.
Yeah, but you know what?
Games.
That guy's probably peacocking, and he's definitely got like a calf.
Peacocking, nailed it.
Literally.
Yeah. You know, I found funny a little like how the sausage gets made. Who's the guy from Around the Horn on ESPN? Tony Reale?
Yeah.
He does an interview somewhere in the past week being like, hey, I want that Sunday tip. What's the wraparound show that Hansen does on Sundays during the season?
Red Zone?
Red Zone.
Yeah.
I want the Red Zone job. I think that's the most coveted job in sports entertainment. And I was like, what Okay. But also funny that Scott I know he's in contract negotiations with the NFL, but he got reality out, bombing threes from the corner saying, I want the job. I was like, hey, I want a little Hanson reality heat.
I don't think I'd want to, Scott Hanson, is such a personal brand for that. Would you want to follow him? I wouldn't. Pretty meticulous. You better be as good as you say you are.
Justin Ross, can you guys just stay live until I'm off work at 5:30? I don't know what time zone you're in, Justin, but the answer is no matter what. Thank you to everybody for a little Dirty 30 update. I guess, yeah. I mean, people are asking PM Dirty 30. Listen, if something insane happens, maybe, but don't count on it. Most likely it will be 24 hours from now or 23 hours from now.
Yeah, I mean, we are flexible, but I think we have to, we'll get into it. But I think we'll be seeing you tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
I wouldn't bank on it though. It could be an hour from now.
Well, right now NFL Network has looks like a pre-taped Max Crosby interview. So I think you know what I'm going to say? We're safe. No big news will occur for the rest of the day.
Damn it.
That's a jinx.
Major jinx. But thank you to everybody in the live chat for jumping on. And again, same place tomorrow. We hope you enjoyed today. A little ramshackle, but we're having some fun with it. Free agency is alive. And we'll see you tomorrow. Heed the call.